is at crossroads. The landmark goods and services tax will kick in over the next few days. And the Trump-Modi bonhomie is giving new hope to Indian industry. What all of this means and more, I am joined by Sajjan Jindal, the chairman of the JSW Group. Mr. Jindal, welcome to ET Now.
Thank you.
The world is going through a bit of a churn. We have Mr. Donald Trump's protectionist policies which are forcing global businesses to rejig their strategies. And more importantly, even the Brexit impact will play out over a period of time. Now, as a business leader, how do you see the kind of changes that the world is faced with?
Yeah, I think what Donald Trump is doing or has done is that the world was moving in one direction, and he has come and shaken up the whole world and taken the train in a different direction. So I don't know, only time will tell whether it is good, it's not good, it's good for America or not good for America, good for the world, not good for the world. Only the time will tell, because for over the last 20 years, I would say that the world was going through with this WTO, we were going in one direction. And now Trump is, because the US is the largest economy in the world and is kind of a driver of the world economy. And now they have changed direction, and so the whole world, everybody in the world is now looking whether we need to take a relook of our policies. So in my opinion, it's a good idea. You know, we should always challenge the status quo. That is what has been my philosophy, and I've been always working on that, challenge the status quo, and that's what Trump is doing.
Mr. Jindal, this interview comes in the backdrop of the Trump-Modi summit, I mean, which could see a new set of relationship between India and US. How do you see the bonhomie impacting trade and business between the two countries?
You know, in Mr. Modi, we have somebody who is an excellent statesman, and I've seen him pretty closely, and I have seen that he is somebody who builds rapport very, very quickly.
Yes.
You know, because he is a person who works from his heart, and he believes in that philosophy. And if on the other side the person is also somebody who works from his heart, which I think Trump is, it will certainly, it had to be a very strong connection and very strong bond. And I think this is the first foreign delegate who has been received with such warmth. Yep. in the United States under the Trump administration. So this is kudos to Narendra Bhai, who has got this kind of a great welcome.
And the Prime Minister has also clarified that Make in India doesn't run contrary to Trump's America First. I mean, is it a bit of a reassurance of sorts for industry?
No, I think so. I think this government in India, the BJP government led by Narendra Bhai Modi, is very clear that India comes first. Indian industry, India, Make in India, everywhere they have been very, very clear that as long as Indian industry survives, India survives. So they have been very pro-Indian industry, and they are not following the same pattern of open up the sector and let the imports come and kill the Indian industry. They have wherever it was needed, they have provided support to the Indian industry.
Support to the industry they have provided, but the joint statement doesn't mention the H-1B visa curbs, and that's something which has hit the Indian IT industry hard. Do you think India shouldn't be too prickly about such issues and let them sort out over a period of time?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it has become larger than life issue, H-1B visa, but I don't think that would, even if you talk to the Indian IT industry in particular, even they will say it's not a very big, it's not an earth-shaking issue, and we should not make it a big issue. Yes, in the past it was a big issue. Our IT industry was very small at that time. They were not very large companies, and they did not have the the strength to handle. Now today we are, every one of us, IT industry I'm talking about, is employing as many Americans as they are employing Indians. So and over time they will employ more Americans in America, more Britishers in UK, and more Germans in Germany. And I think that is how it should be. Like, for example, we have a steel company in USA where we employ more than 500 people. and out of that 400 and probably 83 people are Americans, and only 17 people are Indians. So and that also, in my opinion, is there because we are an Indian company. They need not be there. So you know, that realization has to come to everybody, and we should not harp upon one sore issue of H1B visa and that it's a game changer. It's not going to make a big
Mr.
difference.
Jindal, back home, I mean, policy paralysis may be a thing of the past, but we are not seeing any bounce backs for the economy. I mean, how do you see that? Why is industry so reluctant to invest?
Today, if you see, majority of the Indian corporate sector is saddled with huge debt. And good companies are also now a little bit worried to reinvest, because they are seeing that there are companies with huge capacities and huge debt, and the banking system is today kind of a comatose situation. They are not able to take decisions, and so these companies laden with big debt is lying out there, and the banks are not able to decide, and people like us who have got better balance sheet and want to invest, but is waiting whether these capacities which are there, whether they will operate or not operate. So we are waiting and seeing that before we take a decision to invest.
But looking at the capacity utilization, how long will it take before the industry starts investing? And how big a role is the interest rates playing in this overall scenario?
So interest rates create more demand. If lower interest rates are there, then there is a more demand in the housing sector, in the consumer durable and sectors. So people, if EMI drops, then people get
This industry is also not comfortable with the hawkish stance of the Reserve Bank.
Yeah. So no, I think basically what we need is that quick decision making in the to resolve all the pending matters, especially in the banking. But it's not easy because the debt is huge and write-offs are huge.
India has been at the cusp of the biggest tax reform, GST, and this is a tectonic shift, no doubt. Are we ready for it?
So one day we have to take this decision if we want to move forward and we want to modernize our economy and reduce our number of tax systems and create an ease of doing business. Then we have to take such kind of decisions. There will be some pain in the short term, but over a long term of period, I think GST is going to be a game changer.
But too many tax slabs, complicated calculations on input credit, anti-profiteering clause. I mean, is this the desirable form of GST?
No, as I said that, everyone is learning, everyone is trying to bring as simple a solution to as close to the old regime so that, you don't get into a very simplistic situation. So I think these will get sorted out over a period of time.
And what's your take on the anti-profiteering clause? Because many say that NAPA is being given too much powers. I mean, it's a sort of a super cop that you are creating. I mean, do you agree with that assessment?
I mean, I agree in a way that idea of GST is not to give any more profit to anyone. Basically, idea of GST is that it should be passed on to the customer, so that the inflation comes down and or is under check, and government earns a little bit more revenue, and there is a more simplistic form of ease of doing business, and there is a more wider tax net where everybody, large to small to medium, everyone comes into that tax bracket. That's the basic idea of GST. Now, if because of that somebody gets benefit and tries to profiteer, then I think we need to control that. And in India, everybody tries to find a shortcut or tries to find another way of making more money. So you need to bring in some check and balance. And
during the transition, what kind of disruptions that you expect over the next 2-3 months?
I don't think there is going to be any major disruption. I don't know. From a steel industry perspective, we don't see major effect of GST or any real disruption that could hit our industry. Could be a little bit at the retail level, but eventually this will get sorted out.
Over a period of time?
Yeah, but it will be earlier than we all think.
But you expect GST to give a big push to growth?
I think so, because this will smoothen the taxation system. This will bring a lot of simplicity in running the business. So yeah, I'm sure this will also, what this will do is that a lot of a parallel economy will get eliminated and merged with the organized economy, which is going to be the big benefit to the economy.
What about inflationary concerns in the short term?
No, I think GST is going to be anti-inflationary. I don't think it is going to, because we are going to take the credit from the input credits and stuff like that. So my whatever we have done assessment in the steel industry, it would be anti-inflationary.
Turning to steel, which is one of your core businesses, I mean, many amongst the brokerage community believe that the sector is ripe for a re-rating. Are we at a stage where things could only get better?
So it's very difficult to generalize it, but in steel what has happened is that if you see the good companies in India have done quite well, and most of the other companies have not done well because of the leveraging, and whoever has been conservative or more prudent in their expansions and their investments, they have done well. So therefore, whether the whole sector should get re-rated, I'm not sure. But the companies which have done well, which have got good management, which has got good way of managing things, they must get re-rated.
In fact, turning to the government's crackdown on NPAs, do you think this bank-sponsored takeovers and M&As, do you think any work?
Banks will have to take a hard decision. Banks must not fear of unknown. They have to go with their interest should be paramount. Banks must have their own interest paramount, and second, and that is how they should take decisions.
In fact, if I turn to the dirty dozen, 5 out of 12 companies are from the steel sector. Does it throw up a big opportunity for a company like JSW Steel?
I mean, JSW Steel is always open to the idea of consolidation, and we believe that so many steel companies in one country is very difficult to sustain or to survive. So there will be consolidation. But whether these 5 companies will throw up an opportunity, we have to go into the details and check it out.
But would you be ready to play white knight for companies like Bhushan Steel or Monet?
If it suits our balance sheet, and if it suits our product mix, and if it suits our calculations, and if we find that it will be a good value accretive acquisition, then we will certainly look at it. But we will not look at it from a white knight perspective. It must suit JSW and JSW shareholders.
Putting in something like 27,000 crore over the next 3 years, what makes you so bullish about the steel sector?
So steel is, as I said, very capital intensive, and right now we are 18 million ton capacity company, and with a gross block of nearly 80,000 crore rupees. So spending 10% every year for growth is 10-12% is not something which is abnormal. And as I said, we are expanding capacity to, I think, by 25 million tons in next 3 years from today 18 million tons. So I have a great faith in India, and I believe that Indian demand for steel and for everything will grow quite dramatically. As long as we can produce at a low cost, high quality, we are in the game.
And turning to your cost structure, the fact that you don't have enough captive ores, does it put you in a sort of a disadvantage right now because of the kind of prices that you have to pay to NMDC?
So that is one area where we are getting very badly affected, because Honorable Supreme Court in the year 2011, when there was a mayhem in Karnataka, there was no governance and there was a big problem. At that time, they had put a restriction of 30 million ton mining in Karnataka. So they put a cap of that, and we consume nearly 22 to 23 million tons of iron ore, and the local industry consumes balance another 12 to 14 million tons. So the demand is much larger, much more than the production, the cap that has been put by Supreme Court. And so there is a kind of a shortage, and NMDC, which is a Government of India undertaking, has taken the full advantage. And while on one side government is putting Napa and profiteering and all, and on the other side another wing of government is profiteering and has increased the prices in Karnataka. Till 2011 or 14, they were always following the same price, whether it was in Chhattisgarh or in Karnataka. But after that they saw there was a shortage, and our demand was, JSW's requirement was increasing. So just to make more profit, they have increased the price in Karnataka, and that has affected us. And we are taking a lot of measures to counter that over the next years.
Coming to your global plans, I mean, you've also raised your bid for a plant in Italy, Ilva. I mean, is that market something that really you are betting big on, I mean, going forward?
So yeah, we are looking at global acquisitions. They are more in the opportunistic nature. If there is an opportunity and we feel we are getting at a low price and we can add value, our management can play an interesting role there. Those kind of assets we are open to look at. Ilva was one of those kind of assets. Of course, we lost that bid, but those kind of assets we will continue to look at.
Turning to JSW Energy, I mean, do you think the operating performance there has bottomed out?
I think so. Right now, the power sector is in a very, very difficult situation, because there has been a lot of large capacity which was built up in the last 10 years, and much more than what India needed, the capacity got built up. In the meantime, two things have happened. One is large capacity got built up. Coal production, which was always low, has gone up
very
sharply. So that has bridged the gap between the supply and demand for coal. So the power plants are producing more. On other side, there is a huge emphasis on energy saving devices or LED lamps and stuff like that. So your power consumption is coming down, and so therefore there is a huge sort of the prices in the exchange has dropped dramatically. What used to be 6 rupees, 5 rupees now is hovering around 2.5 rupees per unit in the exchanges, power exchanges. So therefore the power sector is right now in dire straits.
Yeah, demand has taken a huge hit in recent times, and more importantly, the kind of assets that are available in the energy sector. Do you think M&A would be a big driver there also for JSW Group?
Yeah, I think now no new greenfield or brownfield expansions, nothing will happen in the power sector. But because there is a huge capacity lying idle in the country, so we are looking at various opportunities. But right now the situation or the market is so bad that at any price these power plants are not making economic sense for JSW Energy. So we are waiting and we are seeing whether things will improve. Though we all hope and expect that by 2020 Indian power demand will go up. Even if we continue to grow, our GDP grows at 7-8%, then power demand should also grow at 7-8%, and therefore we will see that there will be a situation where new plants will start generating power.
Mr. Jindal, share with us your plans when it comes to new businesses like electric vehicles.
Yeah, I think EV is the way forward for the mobility. There is no doubt about it. The earlier we understand, the earlier we accept it, the better it is for all of us. So I don't see IC engine cars, internal combustion cars, engine cars are going to be made after 2025 or 2030 maximum. So therefore it is going to be replaced rapidly by the electric vehicles. This is my own perception, and a lot of people in my organization and outside share my view. So I thought that this was a great opportunity for us, because the whole automobile industry is going through a paradigm shift. And so why don't I jump in?
What's the kind of work that has gone into it as far as JSW Group is concerned, and by when can we see electric vehicles from JSW on the roads, and what segment of the cars are you essentially looking to tap?
So all these things, all these answers I don't have right now. We are working on all these things, but I think we are going to launch initially a very high-end car, which would be for the elite people, so that we don't, because it would need we will need to create a huge amount of infrastructure if we were to make a mass car. So we will start with elite, and then start with thereafter follow up with the other models.
Are you already looking to team up with a global player?
We have already we are working with global leaders and tying up with them.
And what's the benchmark price that you would be looking at? Because this.
So these are the things which I don't have the answer right now. These are all on the drawing board, pricing and how to do it. And because our idea is that we want to launch the car in India, which will be made in India. It won't be a
CBU kit which is
imported, or CKD. No, we want to do everything in India. So we will set up the factory and make the whole car in India.
What's the kind of investment that you would look at, and is it being done through a closely held company, this venture?
Yes, for the moment it is a closely held company, and investment would be close to about 3,000 crore rupees.
And when does the project take off? Any timeline that you have in mind?
So we are planning to launch it by 2020.
Mr. Jindal, I would want to ask you this question because we also received communication from many shareholder groups regarding this, who have questioned your appointment as a full-time executive in two companies, JSW Steel as well as JSW Energy. Also, they have raised questions about the compensation that has been paid to executive directors vis-a-vis non-executive directors. What would be your take on this?
So to talk about my role in as executive position in both the companies, well, I have been the founder promoter of these two companies, and I play a very important role in both the companies. I mean, it could be. So, in my opinion, it is being raised. I don't know whether there is merit. I would not want to comment too much on that. But I feel that it is justified, and there should not be any great deal of worry on that account. On the executive and non-executive directors pays that is being given, I think on the non-executive directors we are raising their paycheck, because primarily we are as a company we are growing and we are becoming larger and larger. So there is a lot of time and lot of pressure on the non-executive directors also. They are not only coming for the board meetings, but they are spending a lot of time on strategy sessions and which we have every year, and probably we will be increasing that. So we are taking a lot of their time for JSW Steel. So therefore we felt that it is definitely more than worth to have them and therefore increase their paychecks.
One final question, and that is about Generation Next at JSW. We know that your son Parth is very much hands-on when it comes to the cement business. He is also associated with your sports business. I believe you are looking to buy a IPL team. I mean, how is he shaping up to take control of the JSW group in a few years from now?
So it's pretty difficult to talk about your own son. But I can only say that he's shaping up well. He's putting in his work. He's working hard, spending time in the office and visiting factories. So I think he's on the right path. He's not one of those who is I was always worried that he should not go astray. That was my big worry when he was growing up. But thankfully, I think he's doing okay. He's right now in charge of the cement business, as you rightly said, and sports is his passion, like mine. So he's taken up that from me, And he's looking at few new ideas and new ventures.
So he'll drive the IPL acquisition, I'm sure.
Yeah, sports is his baby. I am now not involved in sports. He's more passionate than me, let's say like that, and therefore he wants to do it, and he wants to make a business out of it. So I have this style of functioning where I leave things to the executives, and I love to delegate things. I keep with me what I enjoy, and I enjoy technical stuff.
How different is his style of functioning compared to Sajjan Jindal, the way you were managing?
No, so he, I took over from my father. He was a technocrat, and he enjoyed technical stuff in life. So I also, I saw him do all these things, and I grew up, with him. Parth didn't spend as much time with me as I'd spent with my dad, and because he went abroad to study from school days. So therefore, but he is not a technocrat, but he is quite as passionate as I am, whatever he does. So that is something which he is very similar, but he is non-technical, I am technical. That's the difference.
On that note, thank you very much, Mr. Jindal.
Thank you.
Thank you for sparing the time and speaking to ET.
Pleasure.